The MyPillow guy is having a rough one. He was so hardcore pro-Trump that he went balls to the wall on Stop the Steal and fraudulent election. And he became like one of the most prominent public faces of that nonsense. And so, obviously, he was wrong. Recently we covered a story where he was like, "No, Trump is going to be back in office by August. Watch." I'm watching, Dippy. Not going to happen. Not even close. So anyway, he was kicked off Twitter, probably because of the rampant misinformation that he was spreading. Now, by the way, I don't even agree with Twitter on that. I don't agree with Twitter. People are allowed to be total idiots and cranks. And if you want to kick them off because of that, you just simply are not a free and open platform. Like, you could have one or the other. You could kick people off who are crazy and do that, or you can believe in freedom of expression. So I don't agree with Twitter, but he's starting his own version of Twitter, his own social media outlet in response to it. And he calls it the free speech version of Twitter, the free speech social media outlet. But then we learned this.
Now, people asked me, Eric, they said, you're going to let everything go, porn and swearing and everything? I said, absolutely not. And here's why. We have a thing we found in the Constitution and our founding fathers that defines what free speech is. And Eric, get this, this Judeo-Christian platform we're going to have here, they go by biblical principles. They get to the Supreme Court, you have the 10 Commandments there. And you'll see our definement there. So in other words, you're not going to have porn up there. You're not going to have these sites that contain material that go against our Constitution, go against what our founding fathers put in there. It really defines what free speech is. For example, swearing is now you're not going to be able to swear. There'll be 4 words for sure you can't say. You can't say the C word, the N word, the F word, and you can't use God's name in vain. What a concept, right?
Wow. That's really puritanical. I like it.
This is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. The whole point of the new outlet he's creating is for it to be the free speech outlet. And immediately we learn it's anti-free speech. No, look, listen, I'll say to you guys what I say to Twitter. If you could be the open platform or you could be the not open platform. You can't have it both ways. You can't kick people off for conspiracy theories and then turn around and say, but we believe in free expression. No, you literally don't believe in free expression. That's the definition of not believing in free expression. That's what that means, to not believe in free expression. So, how are you not grasping this incredibly simple concept? You can't start this new free speech platform and then you find out, did we say free speech? What we meant was you could say whatever you want, except no swearing, no porn, no taking the Lord's name in vain, and no cursing. Well, swearing and cursing is the same thing. You get the point. So you can't, you're just nowhere near free. So you can't make an anti-religious point. That's not freedom of speech. Not being able to show porn. I mean, that is a restriction on freedom. Agree or disagree with it. That is a restriction on freedom. No cursing is definitely a restriction on freedom. And then, by the way, he totally, I don't know if I want to call it a lie, because I think he might be dumb enough to believe what he's saying, but he totally misstates the Constitution, and he acts like the Constitution lays out biblical principles. No, it doesn't. The Constitution is very clear. We have a separation of church and state in this country. He makes it seem like the Constitution says, we believe in free speech except for cursing, porn, taking the Lord's name in vain, etc., etc. That's not what it says. So how are you making that up in your own mind that that's somehow the intent of the Founding Fathers? That wasn't the intent of the Founding Fathers. The language is pretty clear as day, actually. So, I mean, listen, the main point here is this. None of the idiots on the far right who claim to believe in free speech believe in free speech. None of them believe in free speech. Because how quickly do they flip? They flip so fast whenever, they see something they don't like or they disagree with politically. It reminds me of, what was the thing that happened recently? The governor of one of the Dakotas, Kristi Noem, or whatever her name is, literally called for somebody to be canceled after saying repeatedly, it was Lil Nas X, remember? He did the Satan shoe that supposedly had a drop of human blood in it. her whole platform, she's been pushing this I'm against cancel culture thing relentlessly for months now, and then flips on a dime and says, I think we should cancel Lil Nas X for the thing he did with the Satan shoe. You defined yourself as anti-cancel culture, and then the second you see something you dislike, you're immediately pro-cancel culture. None of these people understand what it means to actually have a principle. Like, have a principle and, regardless of partisan tribal considerations, apply it objectively. These people are all deeply unprincipled. It goes for all of them. You know, all the idiots on Fox News who yelp about cancel culture 24/7, the second they see something they dislike, they're like, cancel it. You know? Listen, Antifa accounts were banned from Twitter. Some large Antifa accounts. I didn't hear a single fucking word from anybody on the right that was like, I'm against this. They should bring back the Antifa accounts. Because again, they just use it as a political weapon when it suits their own politics. They don't mean it. They don't mean it sincerely. They're not actually going to be staunch defenders of free speech when there's suppression of speech on the left, when they come after Antifa, when they come after Marxists, you know? They're simply not going to defend people on the left. And they're also they're not going to defend the free speech to curse or post something raunchy or take the Lord's name in vain. So in other words, he's creating like a deeply authoritarian and theocratic version of Twitter. So it's going to be a worse version of Twitter. There's going to be even less free speech on that platform than there is on Twitter. Because Twitter is somewhat authoritarian, I think, because they do take things down, you know, or ban people for things they shouldn't be banned for, so on and so forth. But at least they're not a theocracy. And he wants to make this a theocratic and authoritarian platform. So, God, they're so dumb. These people are so dumb. I'm astounded at how dumb they are.